Yeah. I know you. I know you're dealing with a little bit of under the weatherness. But how you feeling otherwise?
Listen, man, I may be under the weather, but it's Thursday, and that means no excuses.
Right,
Because
right.
welcome to episode 13 of the Block to Block podcast, the best podcast in the world for all things Web3. Here we break down the technology, what's going on in the market, and the ways in which you can benefit. I am NFT and Jai,
And I am Web3 Wayne.
and over here the talk is different.
Always, always. And see, Mamadou giving y'all some energy, man. Listen, Mamadou been sick all week, but you know what he told me before we got on here? He said, listen, the people need this episode. We
Absolutely.
not I said we not missing no weeks. We not missing no weeks. The people need this episode. So listen, to all y'all out there tuning in, whenever you tune in, it could be right now, it could be tomorrow, it could be 5 years from now. I want y'all to know this man Mama Do is so dedicated.
Oh, so
So
dedicated.
listen, he dropping a mixtape next month.
It's called the Big Brother Almighty.
Yeah, yeah. Dedication series begins. You feel
Man.
me?
And the first track is going to be that disclaimer. I'm going to have you do the intro.
Look. I'm gonna have to run it something like this. This podcast is for general information purposes only. In no event will we be liable for any loss or damage derived from the information provided. If you stupid enough to lose your money, that's not on us. So please conduct your own due diligence, consult a financial advisor, and or any other professional. Just don't blame us if you go broke. Let's get into the podcast. Let's get
Let's
into the
get
podcast.
into it, man. Like,
Look,
things have been jumping since our last episode.
man, listen. I'm back in the crib after 2 long weeks of being away. I think we should
Mhm.
switch it up this week. I'm gonna take the lead, man. I'm gonna give the people the lead story and let them know what's going on in the market. Cause like you said, are going on in the news cycle, I should say. Cause like you said, a lot has happened over the past week. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. But shoot. Before we get into it, anything you want to say to the people before we get into it? Because we're gonna get into it.
I'm going to just say make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with all your loved ones. Tune into every episode of Block to Block because just the lessons that you derive from each episode is really going to help guide you as we enter this world of Web3.
Yes, sir. Listen, don't be cheeky. We trying to make this the first step for you, your friends, your family to make your pockets greasy. You feel what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm gonna stop with the lame the lame one liners. But man, let's get into it because as we all know, the Web3 world has been taken by a storm. The FTX debacle, debauchery, madness, the FTX mayhem is among us. And listen, if you thought this was, your simple, you know, crypto gone bad, this, that, and the third, that is not this case at all. When we talk about something like this FTX situation, we're talking about 10 to 50 billion with a B
Mhm.
in assets and liabilities. Over 130 affiliated companies are going to be a part of the proceedings, and FTX has over 100,000 creditors. That's serious, man. That's serious, right?
I
And
mean, you've
and
been to exchange in the market forever.
for a reason, right? For a reason, and it's crazy because you'd never understand how things are interconnected and intertwined until you see some dominoes start to fall. And I didn't realize how far reaching an effect this one situation was going to have on the crypto industry, on the Web3 industry, until this situation came out. And now, a week later, it's becoming clearer and clearer just how far reaching the effects are going to be, right? So being somewhat new to the space, right? Like thinking, okay, like this is an exchange. This is, on more on the finance side, like, DeFi might be in for a hit. Those crypto exchanges, cryptocurrencies, um, you know, beat coins. I'm not gonna say what people call them, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I thought it was gonna be more so those, and so sadly was I wrong, right?
Mm.
So sadly was I wrong because we're even seeing the effects of this leak into the NFT space, right? We've
Yeah.
seen the Bored Ape Yacht Club. We're seeing the Bored Apes drop in value because of this situation. And I mean, this is something that we should have known would have happened, right? This isn't you know all of a sudden, Bored Apes is taking a hit on their prices. This is something we've seen going on for the past 6 to 8 months since the Terra Luna news came out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and pretty much those dominoes started the first effects of the bear market, the crypto winter, if you will. So we're I think it's going to be crazy to see just how much more is going to come falling down because of this situation, right? And we've already seen the first dominoes that outside of just pricing, right? We've seen companies like Genesis
Mm-hmm.
suspend their transactions.
Yep.
We've seen Solana, a blockchain, take a big hit, especially the
Forty
price of
percent.
their crypto sold is down 40%. And we're even seeing other exchanges like BlockFi taking it hard, taking it hard. But what I think is interesting, and I think for the people, um, to give you a baseline of something that you can take from this is every situation, each company story, like in connection to FTX, has its own nuance,
Yeah.
right? Genesis and BlockFi, both exchanges, they do, of course, some different things within the
Mm.
exchange world, but they're both exchanges. But this situation is hitting them differently,
Right.
right? So, we can start with Genesis, right? So for Genesis, they have a digital asset manager,
Yep.
Grayscale, right? And they announced that, hey, we won't be affected by what's going on with Genesis. So in terms of their Genesis exchange, they've withdrawn suspensions, right? And I think it's funny because we're seeing with all of these exchanges and all of these parties that are included in this FTX mess, all of them say, hey, we're good. No, nothing is wrong, including FTX, right? Like nothing is wrong. People are just panicking. Like, don't trip. You're gonna be okay. And then a week later, everything falls to hell. You
Yep.
know, and a big part of that is, when it comes to financial markets, a lot of the time the markets move because other people have moved,
Mm.
right? People decide to invest in FTX because there were other investors and felt like, hey, I can't miss out on this opportunity to make this money.
Right.
You feel me? And it works the other way as well, right? So people started feeling the crunch. Of course, we talked about last week. Binance said, hey, we're taking 600 million out. Everybody else is like, well, if you moving 600 million, I got to move my little $10 then because what I'm going to do,
I need that $10.
I need that. I need that. And it's the same thing with Genesis, right? So the market is really reacting to the news, and them suspending withdrawals. That's huge, right? That's like, okay, that does that mean you're liquid then, right? Or are you approaching bankruptcy as well? And Grayscale really took to social media and all their communications channels to try to calm some of that tension, some of that panic, right? And saying, hey, what's going on with Genesis is, what's going on with Genesis, but Grayscale, which is their digital asset manager, which is, you can look at it as the parent company, right? They're like, hey, our other products are fine. We have more than enough in assets and liquid assets to cover. But at the end of the day, you never really know how those dominoes are gonna fall, right? So, man, it's been crazy just seeing how one company can have so much of an effect on an entire industry. And
Mhm.
I mean, FTX came on the scene 2018, 2019, right? And they're already like, I feel like they were pulling all the strings in the background. How
Absolutely.
how much, Mario, how much have you heard of FTX before, this whole situation?
I was just familiar with them as being a crypto exchange, right? But
Hmm.
outside of that, because I was probably a bit more loyal to Coinbase as like my go-to exchange to like acquire crypto.
Yeah,
So I just knew them as like an alternative, but not to the level of they have these large institutional investors such as a Sequoia Capital who just marked down their investment in FTX down to zero, a company that invested millions of millions, or that Kevin O'Leary, someone I respect a lot, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank,
wonderful.
who was their official spokesperson, and just seeing like the amount of investment, the amount of support that they had, and
Yeah,
at the end of the day, poor business practices, right? Because we just gotta call a spade a spade. It was these poor business practices and decisioning that led to its collapse. And what's so interesting about FTX though is history has a strange way of repeating itself, right?
yeah,
During the '07, '08 financial crisis, right? We've
yeah,
seen a lot of these institutions, engaging in like bad practices, right? Like
yeah.
from subprime mortgages and everything else of that nature. And, you know, that lot led to a huge collapse within like the markets. And what happened
Absolutely.
afterwards was a series of regulations, right? Now we're in this space where we in this new asset class altogether, specifically within crypto. There's been a lot of
Hmm.
interest from the regulatory side with like the government, but like
Hmm.
no real sweeping regulation yet, right?
Right.
And now we had this collapse, this contagion, right? Where it's not just one company that fell apart. Like just the other day, I just saw how there was this one. I want to say they're based in Nigeria, an African, West African SME, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nestcoin.
Yeah, Nestcoin. They tied up a lot of their assets within FTT. They have to lay off employees, and their business is, not in a great spot right now. There's so many people within this space that's impacted by FTX.
It's
The
crazy.
applications are going to be crazy. It's like
It's
oh wait,
crazy.
all over again.
A couple things come to mind from what you said.
Uh huh.
One, FTX was investing in a lot of companies, a lot of funds. Like, I'm very
FTX
interested to,
Ventures.
huh?
FTX Ventures, baby. We
FTX
talked about
Ventures.
it in the previous episode.
They made a total of 44 investments, right? Including one as recent as November 11th, after the collapse. You feel me? Which I'm sure was already in the works and just kind of closed out. But
Right.
still, they made a lot of investments, and like you said, one being in Nestcoin. Um, but I'm interested to see, because with that situation with Nestcoin, is a lot of their assets were tied up in FTT,
Mm,
right? And just as part of like some free game, just giving out to maybe some entrepreneurs watching this, right? Like, some things that a lot of times startup founders will do when they raise capital is say, hey, you know, I'm gonna get this injection of cash or assets, whatever it may be, and they borrow against that,
yep.
right? And what got FTX in trouble is they borrowed against their tokens, used their tokens as collateral, which we found out wasn't really their tokens. So I'm interested to know if Nestcoin, from the story that I saw, they had a lot of their assets tied up into FTX. If it was a requirement for them to receive funding from FTX, for them to hold a certain amount of FTT, as
Right.
a part of that agreement, right? And they just borrow against the FTT token.
Right. I'll say this simply because we don't know what their policy is from an investment standpoint, but I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because the big thing with cryptocurrency is, well, yes, crypto is great because of the underlying technology of blockchain. Like the value of the coin is really based upon how the market values it, right? And
Yep.
if you have no real utility, no real use case, or people just in general not using it, your cryptocurrency is not going to be valuable. So it would make
You know, by
sense,
thread.
right? It would make sense for like FTX Ventures or any other type of organization to say, hey, if I'm going to invest capital into your firm or your organization, you
Yep.
need to hold a certain amount of my crypto, which, hey, in the future, that may sound like a great idea, but right now the space is still very new, and we're
Absolutely.
not sure which cryptocurrencies are going to be here to stay. We have our predictions, right? But
Yep.
we're not 100% certain. So that's like a large risk that you're taking as a founder, as an entrepreneur, which is something that's already extremely risky as is, which
Right.
is business.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And this, I mean, the crypto market has always been one that has been very sensitive, right? And
Oh,
we see that in the volatility
mm,
of the price action of the different cryptos, right? Even Bitcoin being the most solid and most reliable crypto, we see it go and have this dramatic and drastic dips and fluctuations. Anything that happens within crypto is gonna cause a panic. I don't know why, you know, especially when you don't have any backing, any security. Why as a crypto Web3 founder, you feel like you could just play with people's money like that. But anyway, I digress. I wanted to read this excerpt from TechCrunch
right.
about Nestcoin. Matter of fact, about
That's a
Nestcoin.
crunch.
Shout out to TechCrunch because I feel like it really it gives a good idea of just how deep this FTX thing goes. Like it's not just about the Sequoia Capitals. It's not just about the A16Zs. It's not just about the Mr. Wonderfuls. It's also about the startup ecosystems and this Web3 ecosystem that's really going to be affected by what's going on, right? So Nestcoin, which Batamosi, which I believe is their founder, described in an interview with TechCrunch as a venture collective. It's
Right.
one of a handful of African startups that have received venture capital from FTX and Alameda Research, alongside 200 plus foreign-based startups and investment firms, including Circle and Sequoia Capital. FTX, for instance, led a 150 million Series C extension round in Chipper Cash, an African cross-border payments company. Alameda Research, on the other hand, has backed Nigeria and Kenya-based Web3 company Mara, South African crypto exchange startup Valor, Congolese Web3 startup Jumbo, and Nigerian crypto exchange platform BitNow. It's still unclear if these other startups held their assets in FTX, but there's a slight chance that might be the case, given that's what's come to light with Nestcoin. Even though Alameda Research, its investor, has less than 1% equity.
Crazy.
So just in terms of right, when we talk about those domino effects, we're not just talking about those big players that, of course, your Bloombergs are going to talk about, your New York Times, well, not New York Times. We all seen what happened there, but we talk about these big mainstream media, even on Twitter, like they're going to talk about the big names, right? They're looking for a hook. They want you to look at their story and their thread. We're also talking about the little guys, right? The people who, it's already hard enough for, you know, black, African, minority, whatever you want to call it, it's hard enough to procure funding, to get funding
Yep.
as it is, right? And for you to get funding and then that funding be attached to something that was so flimsy, that was built on a paper foundation, man, that has to be hard,
It
right?
has, yeah, because to your point, right, especially when it comes to founders of color, right? Those who are like Black, Latinx, founders, underrepresented founders, like including women as well. Like as we
Absolutely.
know here in the U.S., like collectively, those groups only get about 2% of venture capital in general, and VC venture capital is a $69 trillion industry within the U.S. specifically, right? Like
Yep.
there's so much capital that's out there, and those groups simply just don't get them for not because of lack of talent or because their businesses aren't as valuable. But as we know, in a lot of industries, it's all about who you know, the relationships you can stir. And VC has historically been criticized as being like an old boys club, right?
Right.
So these underrepresented founders are looking for unconventional ways to procure capital for their ventures, for their businesses.
Yep.
And within the Web3 space specifically, and we talked about it in a previous episode, because I believe we talked about FTX Ventures. There's
Yep.
different Web3 organizations, like Polygon, for example, has one, or FTX has, had one. There's
Hmm.
different types of Web3 organizations that have created their own funds specifically to invest in people's ideas who want to like build within Web3. And so, like this example of just FTX Ventures, let's let it be a cautionary tale, right? Let's not say, oh, don't take their funding because it could still be viable. However, we gotta really understand how those deals are structured. Like, are they giving you capital or are they just giving you crypto? Like, how is those deals?
Man, look, I'm gonna keep it a bill with you. If SBF and Caroline would have invited me to the Bahamas to check out the polycule, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wouldn't have indulged, but what I'm saying is I would have accepted the check.
I
Look, I ain't gonna lie to you. Right?
would
I
have
mean,
Bahama Mama on the beach, huh?
you know what I'm saying? Like I'd have been outside, you know what I'm saying, enjoying the beach, enjoying the sun.
Giving
But
you
I will say too, I can't blame Mondo, you making a great point to just be cautious. Make sure you're doing your due diligence. It's hard when you're in it because we're founders too, and we definitely understand that building something is hard, right?
absolutely.
And a lot of times, you feel as a founder, I'll get the money and I'll figure it out later. And it's not because you don't care. It's not because you don't want to do the due diligence. It's because a lot of times, one, you believe in yourself more than anything else, which I will never knock. Two, it's so damn hard for those opportunities to come by those opportunities that you can definitely feel like if I don't take this one, there may not be another one, right? And it's all about survival at the end of the day. Where you see people like FTX and some of these other startups, if you will, getting funding out the wazoo. That you get some funding, you can compete with those boys. I can understand why is all I'm saying, right?
Oh,
Is I can
absolutely.
I can get why someone would say, hey, listen, what you gonna give me 45 million in FTT, but I can use that as collateral and get the cash out the bank. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So
Always do your own research, everybody. One thing when it comes to these organizations, especially Web3 organizations that may have the bag, see how long they've been together, how long that organization's been existing, and like what's their business model, right? Like once again,
yes,
the fundamentals. Always look at the
yeah,
fundamentals.
absolutely, absolutely. But most importantly, for those big money people that's looking to put money back into the Web3 crypto space, shoot, I just named a few companies, on top of the Timbuktu and the first ever physical NFT marketplace, on top of your other Web3 companies that are out here truly building for you to put money back into, right? Like we know that FTX was supposed to be the JP Morgan of the Chase of the
Mhm.
21st and 22nd century. But I think it's time now. What we're seeing is for the builders to truly shine. Right, a
Absolutely.
lot of the fluff is going out the window. It's going to be harder to get capital, which means you have to be building something real to get capital. Which
Mm.
I think for I know for myself, and I'm sure you too, Mom, do because we're very much alike. That excites me. Bring on the challenge.
There's opportunity out there.
Man, we've been working on something so real for so long that I think at this point we're not. I mean, shoot, we launched in the middle of the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic. Matter of fact,
Hmm.
so this is like, I mean, okay, what does this mean?
It's like a silent time over here. So what we're just saying is, if you're interested in having a company in your portfolio that's building true intrinsic value, that's building community, that are led by two founders that really understand the fundamentals, you know,
who get
slide
it?
in DMs.
Who
Hey,
get
even
it?
if you want to just sponsor the show, let us know. But just know
Shameless
that we
plug.
real, no matter who the sponsor is.
But look, even not just us, there are a lot of great companies out
A lot
there.
of good companies.
Definitely, especially from underrepresented founders. You know, we we, we didn't even know that it was easy to fundraise the past 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, not not because we didn't know, but because for underrepresented founders, there's always that hurdle. So this is our time to shine.
No, and
You know,
also,
so
who's to say those extraordinary founders within Web3 won't be on the podcast pretty soon?
you never know. You never know. I don't know if Mamadou was catching a stroke just now, but
Wink, wink,
wink, wink,
nudge, nudge.
wink, wink.
For those who are listening on audio, I was winking very nonchalantly.
It was not nonchalant.
It was very discreet.
It looked slightly, seizure-ish, but we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide.
Let it slide, let it slide.
We're all about being ableist here. But I wanted to get into another thing too. When we talk about just the dominoes and the far-reaching effects of this one company, right? Because I talked about Genesis, right?
Mm,
And Genesis, not only will they be affected, but Genesis is also an exchange that has a reach as well, right? So it's like when you got the domino and that one domino hits some other dominoes down, and then there's that split,
mm,
right? More dom. So it's kind of like that, right? And we've talked about the NFTs a little bit. We talked about other exchanges. We haven't talked about is blockchains, right?
mm.
And well, we slightly mentioned it in the beginning, but Solana and actually Aptos as well is going to be greatly affected
Yeah.
by this situation. They both have been invested in by FTX, and for a blockchain like Solana, they've already been through it. They have been struggling for a little while now,
Mm,
just trying to get back on their feet, right? And FTX held just to give some perspective, they held 15% of all sold out in the market,
which
right?
is
And that
crypto. So
that yes, which is Solana's crypto, right? So that's 40 million sold, right? And so 15% may not seem like a lot, but again, I want to remind everyone, FTX didn't just hurt FTX, right? So FTX held 15%. How much did A16Z hold,
mm,
right? How much did, people who were trading on, a BlockFi or a Genesis, right? How much did they hold? Right? Um, and so that effect becomes cascading when it comes to just that blockchain, right? That Solana blockchain, Solana crypto, but even for their ecosystem, right? FTX was a heavy investor into their ecosystem. And for those that don't know, a lot of these blockchains, Mamadou mentioned it just now with Polygon and people like that, what they do is they help people who want to build on their blockchains, help them procure funding, right? And Solana raised money from FTX and had a big backing from FTX Ventures,
Yep. And
where FTX was bankrolling. You want to build this? Come on. You want to build this? Come on. Brings you back to that point of what if they were getting FTT and using that as collateral, because now all of those projects within that Solana ecosystem are hurting on top of Solana's price hurting. Um it's definitely tough times when we talk about just this crypto market, this Web3 market. Personally, this is me. What I'm thinking in my brain is that I'm probably not gonna touch Soul with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, that's a big fact. What I'm about to say right now might be taken as controversial, and I'm not saying this for like a hot take. It's just being real, and it's very similar to what I said in episode 2 about like Ethereum. Don't assume that these blockchain networks are decentralized. 15% of an equity stake, holding 15% of a crypto is not centralization. Remember, Elon Musk was able to even make that bid to buy Twitter because he owned 9% of Twitter shares.
Mm.
FTX was in the double digits, man.
Right.
A lot of these, you know, a lot of these blockchains on paper sound really cool because everybody's really enamored with the idea of decentralization, this idea of us owning the data, us being able to build communities, us being able to like solve real problems. And yes, all of that is true within Web3. You can certainly do that.
We're believers.
However, don't just assume and take at face value that these blockchains are truly decentralized, because a good chance is they may not be. Because once again, how do you even create a blockchain besides all the technical expertise you have to have in terms of like computer science and figuring out like the infrastructure and all that nerd stuff? Shout out to all the nerds. I'm a nerd myself. You have to just about all of them do something called an initial coin offering. ICO, basically very similar to an IPO, right? When a company goes from private to publicly traded on the stock market, they go to a group of investors, they go to communities, and they fundraise all this money, all this capital, in order to really launch their blockchain. And yes, we can say like, yeah, decentralization, they're getting it from the people. A lot of times they're getting it from these institutional investors.
Absolutely.
So let's cut the horse. Let's really do your research. When we say do your research, you have to understand like who's owning these cryptocurrencies and try to figure out what's their equity stake in the matter. Because and that's not to say, oh, it's not really decentralized, I'm not gonna work with them. If you believe they have great technology and they have great long-term sustainability or longevity aspects, sure, work with them if you really enjoy it. But you have to understand, because that's how you mitigate risk in this space.
Yeah. Hey man, y'all got Mamadou amped up. He said, "Let's cut through the horse." We know what he really wanted to say. We know what he really wanted to say.
When I go on Anchor and when we upload these podcast episodes for the audio platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, we put clean when we talk about the content. It's not explicit content. We don't curse.
We putting out that straight PG Disney content. Nah, let me stop. But y'all got Mamadou amped up, man. Y'all got Mamadou amped up. And listen, to add to that, ain't nothing wrong with institutional investors. That's not what we're saying. To piggyback on what Mamadou said, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying anything is wrong with it. But what we are saying is, one, do your own research. We've been saying that since episode 1.
Before one.
Exactly. We've been saying that from the jump. Do your own research. I'm talking about
back in podcast, do your own research.
Listen. 2, man, don't ever overplay your hand. Don't
Mm,
don't ever sit here and it's great to take risk, but you could take calculated risk. Like
right.
you
Be
got
strategic with it.
you got 3K, don't put your whole 3K. Now if you want to put a K in there, I can't stop
Mm-hmm.
you. Get you some money. I can't stop you. But you put the whole thing in there. Come on, baby.
Don't bet the house, people. Don't bet the house,
Not the whole thing, man. Not the whole thing. Look.
man. But
So
with that, I
yeah,
think we said a lot about the FTX matter. It's
probably way too much.
but this is an area, this is a story that we're going to continue to follow. So please tune into every episode. We launch every Thursday. We'll let you know what's the most recent developments. A lot of great takeaways. Thank you, Derek, for spearheading that conversation because it's a lot of gems in there. Definitely rewind that section of the show.
We got into it, man.
We got into it, man.
Listen. Whew, whew, I need some water, I need some tea and some crumpets or something.
Tea and crumpets, man.
Crumpets.
Listen, you take a break because I'm gonna give you this quick take.
Okay.
We're doing it different. Usually Derek does the quick takes. I mean, Web3 Wayne, excuse me. Web3 Wayne. But NFT and Jai is doing a quick take today, baby.
All right. Give it to the people. Let's see how you do, folks. Let's see how you do.
I've been practicing.
Look, what you got for us for the quick take for the day?
Nike
Mm.
is launching their SWOOSH platform.
Check silver stripes. That's what they like. YouTube,
Man.
don't take our video down, please.
So Nike's .swoosh platform is going to be able to allow for community members to create and trade their own digital collectibles.
Mm.
So, real quickly,
Mm.
Nike has been getting into the Web3 space for years. They've been really getting into it with the metaverse, and they've been filing a series of patents in order to protect their intellectual property, right? And they even have something called crypto kicks, which is their Web3 sneakers. And so all of that is culminating into the .swoosh platform where everybody, I mean, I even got on the Nike hat. No sponsorship, but shout out to Nike. The .swoosh platform will be a platform where users can be educated on Web3 and they'll be able to get these digital collectibles such as sneakers or jerseys, which can be used and worn in video games and other immersive experiences like metaverse experiences, right? And there's more. You also have the ability to create your own collection, which will give you the right to collect royalties off of that collection as well. So this is Nike's initiative to really bring Web2 customers and their huge customer base into Web3 by allowing them to, one, buy and trade their own digital collectibles, and two, give them the ability to create their own collections as well. So it's an effective strategy of community building and allowing that community to utilize their creativity and to even be compensated for their creativity. And so they're launching the beta right now. You can sign up in November, and they're planning to launch their first collection in the beginning of 2023. And that, folks, is the quick take. Nike's .swoosh platform is coming to a phone near you.
We got to get on that. We got to make sure we sign up for that. I don't
Shoot,
you need that.
you know,
You need
I
that.
have some NFT and Jai kicks up in that joint. You know what I mean?
You feel me? You know what it made me think of though? It made me think of like right now, if you play like a 2K
Mm-hmm.
and you like go to get stuff for your avatar, your character, your player, your my player. Damn, I haven't played a video game in a minute, but if you go buy something for your my player, before I'm sure there were like certain like sponsorships and stuff like that. Shoot, going into this next era, you won't really need that. You could just, they just have the blockchains, kind of connecting into, or the game connecting to those blockchains. We're able to pick up like, oh, in my wallet I have this shirt, this collection of shirts from Dot Swoosh. I got this collection of shoes from Dot Swoosh. You know what I'm saying? I got the the gray sweatpants from Dot Swoosh. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we rocking out on the court. You feel
The
me?
Nike slides from SWOOSH.
You feel me? You
I
feel
gotta
me?
step out
Like,
real quick.
listen, for those people interested in getting to the metaverse and being a, a creator within the metaverse, this is kind of what it looks like. You're creating and you have these stores, and it doesn't have to be in one specific game. Shoot, you could be playing, what I'm saying, God of War and have Kratos swagged out in the Nike.
Boy,
You
credit
feel me?
to boy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just
How I do for my first quick take?
hey man, you did better than I ain't never done for a quick take. We might have to keep this setup we got going on. I don't know,
This
man.
baby, man.
I don't know. We might be on to something.
We may be on to something. But yeah, the Nike story is very interesting because once again, it just illustrates the lessons that we've been saying for founders for or creatives or platforms who are looking to really build their own community within Web3. You have to be focused on community and taking people from Web2 to Web3 in a manner that is easy and fun,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
what's hurt in this space a lot is, and I say it, and once again, shout out to all the nerds because I'm a nerd myself, but it's too nerdy right now, right? Like we use all this technical jargon, a non-fungible token, immutable, the network layer, staking, mining. Like
I would
it
s- I
seems
would say I would say too, outside of like the nerdiness of it, is just like the insular, like bro culture, if you will. Like I think part of it at this point, like
pros,
people, a lot of times people don't even really know, like they don't really know what an NFT is. They don't really know how blockchain works, but they do know the buzzwords to say. They kind of understand them, and they use it to gatekeep, right? And I mean that's just how the cookie crumbles. That's how things go.
right?
But you know, as others are looking to build and others are able to, are wanting to find ways to make money in this space. And TNJ dropped the game for you right quick. He dropped a nugget of gold if you didn't catch it, right? You need to figure out ways to meet people where they are, make it fun, and not overcomplicate. Don't use none of these buzzwords. Don't use NFTs. Don't, you ain't got to. You don't have. You can, right? You can because it comes with a certain thing, but you don't have to.
Listen,
You don't have to.
this is what I'll always say, right? And, you and I, we both have IT backgrounds, right?
This is very true.
However, the average person may not have a background in tech, but that doesn't mean that the world of tech is exclusive to you. If
No.
I was to ask a person on the street, tell me how the internet works, are you going to sit there and say, well, it's a network of interconnected servers and there's these packets of information that's sent? Oh, no. You're going to say, oh, just be connected to some Wi Fi, go to Google and have at it, right? We're more focused on the. No, let's
Hey,
be real.
Maudu proved he was a nerd just now because ain't no way I was gonna tell you how the internet works. Even though I know, ain't no way I was gonna tell you that. So
No.
kudos,
Oh,
kudos to brother.
IP address is the internet protocol was designates your location. No, who cares? We care about the application. And that's
Yeah,
what we need to get to as
yeah.
a culture and as a community when we talk about Web3.
Mm.
Let's NFT, non-fungible token, it can be verified on the blockchain, digital certification.
Cut the horse. Cut the
Cut the horse,
bull.
man.
Cut
That
the
might be a new
bull.
segment. Cut the horse. It's a digital certification that says that you own something. That's it.
That's all you need to know.
Let's stop making it
That's
complicated.
all you need to know. And just follow it because like it's gonna become clearer and clearer as people start applying it more, as you don't even notice that you're actually using it, like with what Reddit did. You know what I'm saying? Like we look, like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast so you know what's going on in Web3. That's all you need to know.
On every week, I was sick. but I'm still here, baby, because we gotta break down this info for us.
That's how much he love y'all. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I don't love y'all like that. Every week I be like, you sure you want? You sure? He like, the people need this. And I'm like, you know what?
Need
He's
it.
right. We're not doing this because of us. We doing this for y'all.
Absolutely.
Show us some love is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Let's get the numbers up.
Yes, sir.
But with that, let's transition over, Derek, to the market.
Okay. Okay.
So, one, not to delve too much about the crypto market, but I did want to say this. Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two largest cryptocurrencies. And ever since the whole FTX saga, I'm going to call it the saga,
Okay. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna use that next week.
they've hit lows. Like, Bitcoin is still hovering over 16,000. Like, last I checked, it was like 16,800 something. And Ethereum is still hovering at 1,200. So, and once again, the way Bitcoin moves impacts how the rest of the crypto market is going to move for the most part, right? So,
Yeah.
prices are low. But once again, if you have done your own research and you're confident in the intrinsic value of certain coins, now may be the time to buy them at discounted prices. Once again, this is not financial advice. This is for general informational purposes. However, like, always, in life, you got to look at things from like an optimistic lens point, right? There's always opportunity, right? So, for example, my cat, which wants to keep on interrupting me,
Nice.
opportunity to get some likes, comments, and subscribe,
Nice. My dude.
because boy Knight, this beautiful gray tabby, for those who are on the audio podcast, is here to say hello. Hi, Knight. Bye, Knight. But now it's the opportunity for those who are looking to buy crypto at like great prices, great discounted prices. Don't shake your head, Derek. That
Hey,
was that.
look, man. All I'm gonna say is Bitcoin was at 68,000 at one point or something
That was
ridiculous.
at 16.
Now it's at 16. The last high of Bitcoin before this round was like 3K. It dropped down to like 700, and then it like shot up to 6. So you can only imagine after we come out of this, what's the price gonna be? Who knows? But probably a lot of money. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, it's not
that's
going
and
anywhere.
that's why you got to buy assets for the long term.
Yeah.
Buy and hold.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but there are Bitcoin, believers that would say, and again, YouTube, do not flag us, but there's Bitcoin and then there's shitcoin. And, I I don't necessarily believe that. They don't even believe in it there. I don't necessarily believe that. But, if you want to go with the safest bet, something that, we know is going to hold true, it's going to be Bitcoin. There is still some volatility, but there is there is some good foundation there that you can, if you're looking for something safe yet something that can be very very uh, you know beneficial for you in your pockets. That might be a good place to park your cash.
Yeah. And now, as we talk about parking cash and like just activity, let's look at the NFT market. So, the total sales volume of NFTs, despite all this craziness, had the volume, the overall value, didn't even really drop, only by 0.96% within the last 7 days, right? So less than 1%, or roughly 1%, to 27.6 million worth of value of all the NFTs that are being actively traded right now. Now, the total sales, the total number of transactions did drop by 14.29% to 34,755 NFTs being transacted upon.
Mm.
However, the overall valuation of these NFTs haven't been dropping that much. So it's a very interesting picture, right? Like, yes, prices of crypto have been going down, and like people are kind of down and out about this market and space. However, there's still opportunity once again to transact and create something with your NFTs. So
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's as we start to close out the year, we're gonna definitely give y'all just more on this, because I find it so interesting that the price is the total sales volume is so steady, and we're just kind of, just so the people know, we're trying to give you very high level, we're giving you the news and we're kind of showing you how the market is moving with that news, right?
Yep.
And so, one of the things that stands out to me is, you see the volume, the sales volume is the same in total sales. It drops, a good bit. That means, NFTs are still selling, and the ones that are selling, they're selling for a pretty penny, you know. And so we just gonna we're gonna give y'all some more insight into that world as we start to wrap up the year, and give y'all a good snapshot because man, it's amazing. Like if you go and listen to episode one and you go listen to now, just in a span of, what, three
13
months,
weeks.
you know what I'm saying? 3 months, how much things have kind of just shifted, and numbers are changing, but also not changing as much as you would. Listen, I can go on and on about it, but
The talk is different. That's all
talk
I
is
was
different.
gonna say.
Talk is different. Mamadou, thank you for the market update for the day. I think I wanna leave the people with a message, you know. And the message is this: ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Don't, don't. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Hey, it's some real dark, dreary days for the SBF FTX orgy house. But on that note,
Lord, it's a
on that
clean platform.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. No, no, no. But seriously, um, for my people out there that were thinking about getting into crypto and seeing the situation and see what's going on in the market, not just this week, but the past, 6 months, however it's been since May, 5 to 6 months, don't get discouraged, right? Because this is not going away. If anything, this is the time more than ever, right? It seems like we're saying that more and more every week, but this is the time more than ever for you to jump into it, right? Because if you start now, you can get yourself to a point where you really understand, and you're able to, at least talk to people to apply this new technology.
Hmm.
And that will position yourself for when the regulation comes, because it is coming. We didn't get into it today, but the regulation is coming. And with that, once that regulation is here, that's when you're going to see the real scramble for gold, right? The real scramble for the Bitcoin, if you will, right? And where you're going to see Web3 really take a turn where it becomes a staple within business and a staple within the economy.
Mm.
So don't let these stories deter you. Don't let, the rigmarole and all the hype surrounding what's going on deter you from putting yourself, your business, saying, your pockets in a position to win. So
Mm.
the free game for the day is start learning now. Tap in with us, of course, like, subscribe, comment, share. Make sure that you're tuning in. Of course, do your own research. And man, we want to see all y'all be successful and start using this Web3 technology. And with that, Web3, Wayne is out of here.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, brother. Yeah, like I said before, and I'll say it every episode, watch every episode of Block to Block because you will learn the space inside and out, and it will propel you to be able to do well within this space. And once again, I am NFT and Jai. We appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you next week. Peace.